welcome to my channel. My name is Alexis Blake. This is so weird doing like a full YouTube video. This is my first one on this channel, so if the lighting and sound and everything's a bit off, please be kind and nice. I'm going to talk today about getting outed as transgender at work. I've done some TikToks about it and some YouTube shorts, but I'm going to put everything together, do a whole story time. So if you want to know, I'm going to do my makeup as well. This makeup I've got now, my everyday sort of makeup. If you want to know and have a listen, then grab a cup of tea and let's go. But before we do, I'm going to show you a little clip of me dealing with the emotions after I got outed. And then when I come back from the clip, we'll get started. I will have no makeup on, so prepare yourself. But yeah, let's go. I can handle quite a lot. I'm a really strong person. But someone I know from before I transitioned and became me, I think they've told people. And now they're all talking about me and saying really nasty things. I don't even want to go back in. I love having I just colour corrected using the Makeup Revolution concealer, colour corrector in orange. And I've primed using the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer. So let's get on with my makeup. Infallible 32-hour wear in 220. I'm a little bit tanned at the moment from fake tan, which is why I'm going a little bit darker than my usual. So I'm going to start at the beginning when I got the job. So originally when I got the job, I knew it was going to be in sort of admin and I thought it was going to be in an office, but I didn't realise I'd be sort of in the warehouse where I was going to be working. I had no idea. So I thought, cool, admin, small office, not too many people, all is good. Also, I do want to point out as well, I am aware that people might have figured out I was trans at work without being outed because of things like this and my beard shadow and stuff. I was a bit sceptical of how I was going to be received there. In my old job, everyone knew I was trans because I transitioned there, so everyone saw me transition. So when I started, I was like, are people going to know? Are they not going to know? And for the first week and a half, no one knew. And it kind of surprised me, but it was really nice. So that I was ashamed of people knowing, but it was nice to not just have that label, you know, just be Alexis. And that was it. And it was really cool. In my last job, I was a supervisor and there was a guy who worked there and I was his supervisor for about 6-ish months. And in that time, he saw me go from male to female, the name change. He saw the hormone start, the wigs, the clothes, the laser. He saw pretty much all of the start of my transition. So he obviously had an idea of what it was like to transition or some sort of sense. Anyway, he leaves. Goodbye, have fun. And I don't see him for like over a year, nearly a year and a half. And then I get a new job. And on my first day, I'm walking to the office and who do I see? Said man. So I said, oh, hi, how are you doing? Hope you're okay. It's really cool that you're working here. By the way, this is nowhere near my old job. It's so far away. I don't know. I didn't think I'd know anyone there. But anyway, I said, how are you doing? Nice to see you. What you've been up to? It was a really quick conversation because I was getting taken to the office to start training. So he didn't really figure out who I was straight away. He looked at me a bit confused because I think my face has changed a bit more and I've changed a bit more since maybe he last saw me. Maybe he just didn't remember me. And then it clicked and I saw him in his face. He was like, oh, you're Alexis. So I was like, cool. So he came into the office about half an hour after I started. I ran up to him and I said, oh, you know about me transitioning and my story. Please don't tell anyone. It's private and I don't want anyone to know. Especially my old name because he knew my boy name. So he said, oh, of course, that's fine. And I was like, brilliant. Okay, if people figure it out, they're going to figure it out on their own. But I don't have to worry about my whole story getting shared with everyone. Cool. Moving on. First week goes by. Absolutely lovely. No one seemed to know a thing. Everyone was being really nice. So then skip forward to Friday of the second week. It's almost like overnight something had completely changed. I went into work and people were looking at me different. People weren't saying good morning. People were ignoring me. People were giving me dirty looks. And I was like, something's off. But then later on that day, one of the managers came up to me and said, if anyone gives you any rubbish, you let me know. And in that moment, I was just like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's what's changed. Everyone knows. And it clicked. So I said to my trainer, because I started to get really emotional, I said, what are people saying out there about me on the shop floor? And he said, no, nothing. I said, look, tell me the truth. I'd rather know, because if people are saying awful things and if something happens to get said to my face, I'd rather be prepared and armed rather than super unsuspecting. He said that when I started, people were sort of looking at me in like a nice way, I guess, and thinking I was pretty, I guess. And then now I'm the butt of everyone's jokes. And it wasn't the fact that they didn't see me as attractive anymore. That didn't bother me. I have a fiance. It was the fact that I was the butt of the jokes. And he said that they're saying not very nice things about me. So I started to get really upset, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to take 5, get myself together, and then I'll be back. So I went outside and I sat in my car, and that's where that video came from. I did try and call Liam, my partner, but he was at work, so I just started recording on TikTok, and that's where that came from. After I filmed that, I thought to myself, right, what do I do? And I literally was so close to just driving home. I was like, do you know what? It's not worth it. I don't want to deal with this. I shouldn't have to deal with this. The company should have been sort of prepared. No, I didn't tell them I was trans, but you shouldn't have to. They should have the infrastructure in place to protect people who are protected by the Equality and Diversity Act, and they weren't ready for someone like me. So I decided to go back in, sort of face it. By this point, my trainer had told the manager, my direct manager, that I'd been upset and what was going on. So I was taken into a meeting with him to see what was happening, and I just sort of started crying, explaining everything. I told him bits of my story, so he understood about my life, and he he was trying to be supportive, but I think he struggled a little bit because he'd never met anyone like me and he didn't know what to say. He was saying things like, what do you want us to do to fix it? And I kept saying, I don't know what to do to fix it. I just want it to go away. That's what I initially wanted. And I said to him, I don't get, have people figured it out? And I explained about the person that I used to work with. He's the only person who knew about my transition. And he said, well, I have been in a staff meeting and I have heard him talking about it. So that was red flag. And I was like, cool, he's told people. Even after I specifically gone up to him on my first day, half an hour after seeing him, and said, please do not tell anyone anything that you know. It's my story, it's private. And he did it anyway. So the manager said, what do you want us to do? I said, I don't want him to lose his job, but I want to speak to him one-to-one. Obviously, I need to speak to HR to see what's going on and how to fix this. And we'll take it from there. So I go down, I finish the shift, and then I go home for the weekend. And I try and not think about it. Anxiety of the weekend is building, as you can imagine, because I have to go back in on Monday. And obviously over the weekend, more people have been talking. So by Monday, everyone knew. You know, like gossip in school, it spreads like wildfire. Cotier spun, I still love this stuff. I go in on Monday and nothing's said, nothing's done. It's just like a normal day. And I'm like, okay. It was until Monday afternoon, the manager came to me and said, oh, can't come until speak to you until tomorrow. And I was like, well, this needs sorting. I could have quite easily have not gone back to that job after what had happened. I sit down with HR and my manager, and HR has been super supportive. She's a woman, which I'm kind of glad about, and I know that sounds bad for me, but I was really hoping it was going to be a woman. So HR began explaining to me that the company obviously didn't have enough training for the managers on equality and diversity, and it wasn't an excuse, but that's sort of how this happened. She did say something that upset me a little bit, and I think it's because at the moment my emotions were really heightened. I was very, very sensitive, and she said that because we're in a rural part of Yorkshire, with middle-aged white men, this might have been expected, and I do kind of get where she's coming from, but in the moment I was upset and it really bothered me because it shouldn't be expected. They should know better. But anyway, moving on. Spoke to HR, gave some of my ideas about what we can do to sort of improve things, get some training out there, inclusive toilet signs, which we did get done, just gender inclusive signs on the disabled toilet basically. So if anyone who's transitioning or non-binary or doesn't feel comfortable in the male or female toilet can use that toilet. That's been done now, which is really cool. But I said I wanted the one-to-one with him. I want to ask him what he said and to who, and ask him why he said it, and hopefully he can learn something. I've learned something, and hopefully the company can learn something from all this. So next time a trans person walks in the door, there'll be signs up for equality and diversity. They'll see the toilet signs and they'll just know that they're in a safe space. Basically, on day one, the training had one sentence and it said something like, "This company doesn't tolerate any discrimination. We support the Equality and Diversity Act." And that was it. And I was like, I remember on my first day, like, that's not good enough. So that's going to change. And all the managers are going to get training on equality and diversity. So let's get to the meeting I had with him. I'm just using Benefit Hula in the caramel. I put these together, but this is a Hula caramel. This is about a week and a half, 2 weeks after this all sort of started. I had the meeting with him. I walked in, spoke to HR before he came in, and she explained that she's going to say something and then I can just sort of take the floor and say whatever I want to say and get things off my chest. So he comes in and he is white as a ghost, looks absolutely terrified. Did feel a little bit bad for him, and I know I shouldn't because he'd done something wrong, but I did feel bad. But he sat down and I started to explain what's gone on about him telling people when I asked him not to, and he had no right to tell my story to people. I said to him, "What have you said and to who? Have you gone around and told everyone, or have you just told a couple of people, and what have you told them about me?" And I said, "If people know my old name, it will have come from you and I will be furious." And he said, "No, I've not told anyone your old name. Don't worry." So, oh, in my eye. He said that one of the people who work on the shop floor had said to him, "Oh, you know Alexis from before working here. Why don't you ask her out on a date?" And his response was, "No, she's a man." I know I'm laughing now, but in that moment, I was so angry inside. I could have just screamed in his face. But I was like, no, that's not going to do anything. He's not going to listen or learn anything. He's just going to get defensive. So I said to him, "Yes, I was born biologically male. However, I have transitioned to female. The money, the time, the effort, the hoops you have to jump through to get hormones and prove your identity to different doctors and psychiatrists. You have to go on the hormones, the changes, the pain. You have to get beard laser and electrolysis and the surgeries and the recovery and the money. It's not easy to transition, and you have no right to call me a man. I am not a man." That's lesson number one. I might have been a little bit sassy, but I felt like it was deserved in that moment, and he was just sort of nodding and agreeing. And I said to him, "Why didn't you say she's engaged, or she used to be my supervisor? That'd be weird, or she's just not my type." That would have, one of those answers would have been fine. It would have glazed over it. And yes, in time, people might have figured out I was trans, but it wouldn't have come from a direct source. So then what's happened? That one person he's told someone else, and it just went like this, like wildfire. And it spread very, very quickly, and that's why it went from overnight. It was a complete shift. Anyway, let me do my eyeliner, and I'll be back in a sec, because I'm not going to try and do that on camera. Whew, eyeliner did not go very good today. I've had to clean it up loads. Bad day. Anyway, e.l.f. liquid liner and Maybelline Sky High in, I think this is the waterproof one. I continue to have meetings with HR and the head of equality and diversity for the business, which is a trans woman, which we love, and discuss what can be done moving forward. We're going to have a day in work that celebrates LGBT people and all equality and diversity, so different race, religions, everything like that. For Pride Month, we're definitely going to celebrate that, and I'm going to get involved with that as well. So we'll see where it goes. I'm going to take it day by day. If incidents happen with specific individuals, I name them straight to management, and then that gets dealt with immediately. And I think people are just getting used to me being around. They're getting used to a trans person working there, and it's definitely getting better. Every time I talk about this on TikTok, everyone always says it's a 90s lipstick. It's Heather Shimmer 220 by Rimmel. I love this shade. I don't know if I'm giving like a 90s throwback, but anyway. There was a long period where people were staring like at my crotch area. I think they were just trying to figure out what's going on down there and if I've had the surgery or not. I used to wear a long coat to cover up, but now I don't anymore. I just don't care. They can think or look or say whatever they want behind my back, as long as it's not done to my face, and then I'll sort of get it corrected and sorted with management and HR. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling more confident and comfortable there. I'm not sure if I'll stay in this job forever. The job might not necessarily be for me. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. That is everything from me. If you guys like my hair extensions, I will have a YouTube short and a TikTok about them. I made them myself. They're comfortable, they're affordable, and they don't damage my hair, which I love, love, love. So go and check that out. And that's everything from me. So yeah, have a lovely day. Bye.